everybody, and welcome once again to WOOGIES Corner. And I know what you're thinking, that this looks way different than anything I've done before. Well, you're right, because we're down in Carson City, Nevada, USA. And we're standing at the museum, the train museum actually, which happens to be closed today. But anyway, I'm trying to set the stage for a little travelogue that I recorded on the way down from central British Columbia, with little snippets and pieces of video and places. So I'm setting the stage for that, and I'll let you know we're going to Houston, Texas next week. Then we're going to Inglewood, Florida, and we're going to have a whole bunch more stories and sights and sounds and places that we've been to tell you about. So with that thought in mind, we'll see you on the trail. And we are just past Williams Lake, BC, and the snow is still on the hills a little bit around. Lake is still frozen over, but other than that, it's a beautiful day. We've been anticipating this trip for months, so we're heading today. We're going to try to get down to Hope, and then from there we'll be beyond Hope. We're going to go down to Coquihalla, I think, today. We want to be over on the Vancouver Island by tomorrow night. Anyway, beautiful out here right now. Nice and warm. Got my wonderful co-driver here who is doing a great job. Okay, later. Down there, this is kind of like northern desert. This desert system that you see with a sagebrush is kind of unique in the sense that it's a desert system that extends all the way down through the province, right down into northern Washington state, on the backside of the Cascades, down on the backside of the Sierra Nevadas, right on down into Nevada. Is basically the same desert system, and hot in the summer, a little bit cool in the winter time. Don't usually get a lot of snow, but anyway, kind of pretty this whole way. Look at there, up there on the mountains. Like even in the heights of wintertime, they probably only got maybe a foot snow here, if that. Anyway, that's all for now. And we're heading down into the Thompson River Valley, South Thompson, over to our left. And the next point of interest will be a place called Spence's Bridge. And the guy's name was Spence, and he built a bridge. I'll show you a little further down here. And across the Thompson River, and he used to charge people to go across that bridge, and then a little community sprang up and they called it Spence's Bridge, and it's still known today as Spence's Bridge. But the stagecoaches used to come up here because they couldn't, the stagecoaches they eventually had a stage road right from Ashcroft right on up into the Barkerville goldfields. But in the early days, before that even, they used to walk. Come up to from Yale on the lower Fraser, and sometimes they'd catch some kind of a little steamer, or if they could, on the parts of the Fraser that they could sail on, navigate on. Then they would get off at Lillooet or somewhere there, and then over land they would hike right on up through here. But in the late, what was this, 862 to 65, the Royal Corps of Engineers out of England came, because we were still an English colony at that time, and so they came over here and they did a heck of a job. They literally built a road. It took them about 3 years. That's amazing what they did. And some of the work of that, some of the cribbing, and some of the overpasses along the river are still there. Really quite a fascinating piece of work. And over to our left, that is the South Thompson River, which further down, I'll show you, it gets a lot bigger, especially after it meets the Fraser. So we're heading down into it now, and yeah. Okay, folks, this is Spence's Bridge. Just coming into Spence's Bridge. Pretty little place. It hasn't changed a whole lot in the last 50 years, to tell you the truth. But I mentioned before that a fellow named Spence built a bridge here across the South Thompson River. Toll bridge, actually, and little community sprang up here and called it Spence's Bridge. Hotter. Oh, get out in the summertime down here. But yeah, the Thompson River is just over to our left over there. So we're just, it's not a very big community. At one time it was a little bit more vibrant. It kind of comes and goes with a lot of things around here. So anyway, if you go to the left, there's a road over there, and that leads down to Merritt. And as you can see, there's a lot of trailer parks and some houses. And it's you know, I don't know how many people live here now. It's hard to say. Yeah, probably 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, something like that, I would guess. I remember years ago when we first came up this way in 1958, this bridge here, which is Spence's Bridge, was a pretty antiquated affair. Old King Post wooden bridge is what it was. But of course it's been all changed up now. So this is the South Thompson River. We're on the kind of the southwest side of it. And there's a junction ahead, which off to our left, the road goes off to Merritt, and which down into the Okanagan that way. And so we're going to carry on here and down to a place called Lillooet. And we've got some great views coming up here of the Thompson River a little bit later. Well, the old Thompson River is pretty low right now. You can see the high water mark over there. During high waters, it must be up at least 10-15 feet. But right now, it's that time of year, we've had a pretty slow melt-off. The winter snow so far. And one of the lowest that I've ever seen this river, actually. But back in the day of the wagon road, this was quite a trail through here. There's some old pictures. I tell you what, there's some further down there, they had some trestles and stuff they built, and it was pretty hairy. But it's a really pretty country down through here. There's an example just across the way of one of the railroad bridges, or railroad tunnels. Oops, you can't really see it right now. Let's take a look here. Yeah, you can see a little bit of it down there. I think that's the CPR, and they had snow sheds and tunnels built. They get a lot of snow at times down here. Slides blocking the tracks. Yeah, there's one of the trains over there. Probably, pretty sure that's Canadian Pacific line. The CN and CPR both run through here, but you know, they get some long trains, 150 cars or better. Oh, and every once in a while they get a derailment. But not really that often, considering the amount of traffic that goes through here. When we first came up here in 1958, I'll tell you what, it was a different kind of a road then. And further on down, there's some really interesting scenic little spots I'll show you. these little twisty, curvy things have been here ever since I can remember, in the 50s. It's one of the last sections of the road they haven't really done anything with, and it's pretty hard to do because you got to drop off to our right down into the river. But as you can see, the canyons are getting steeper. The walls are getting steeper. The river's getting narrower. And boy, during high water, I'll tell you, it's a sight to behold when that thing's roaring down through there. Big coal train over there. Probably coming out of Tumbler Ridge, I would suspect. But this whole area is prone to slide once in a while, so the highways department is always patching and repairing and fixing, and that's kind of an ongoing thing here. Okay. This is we're coming up to the confluence of the South Thompson River with the mighty Fraser coming down from the north. In fact, unless I got my directions mixed up here, I'm pretty sure it's right off to our right. And just down below us is the little town of Lytton, which got basically burned off the map there a couple of years ago with some major forest fire activity, and just destroyed the place. So now we're actually entering the scenic Fraser Canyon, the world-renowned Fraser Canyon. And anyone that's not familiar with the Fraser Canyon should we do a little research into that, because I'll tell you what, there's some of the ruins of Lytton right down there. This is what's left of it. It burnt that little town, scenic little town, to the ground. Apparently a wheel caught fire on a train. At least that's the official explanation. But who knows? It's like anything. Everybody's got their own theory, I suppose. But now we are in the scenic Fraser Canyon. And unfortunately, it's kind of a dismal day. It's almost light rain. Snow. So actually, it's more like snow. In fact, you can see the snow up on the hills up to our right there. And there's another hot spot. Boy, in the summertime it can get 30, 37, 38, 40 degrees down in here. It gets hot. Okay, we're now in the Fraser Canyon. We'll keep you posted. We're looking around here. By golly, we got some snow last night up on the high country. Winter does not seem to want to let go quite yet. It was kind of frosty at Hope where we stayed. We just left Hope here a few minutes ago, heading down the Trans-Canada toward Vancouver. We're going to go over to Horseshoe Bay and off on the ferry over to Nanaimo, Vancouver Island. A little better weather this morning than it was last night. It kind of rained, snowed. The mighty Fraser River off to our right here, after it passes through the canyon. Okay, here we are walking up Government Street in downtown Victoria. It's kind of a cold, windy, overcast day, but this is interesting. Off to our right we got the horse carriages, and the guy who trains those horses actually lives up in Chetwynd, BC, up in the north, and then they buy them down here. And off to our right, of course, is the BC government buildings, designed by the famous architect Rattenbury back in the 1600s, when was it? The late 1800s. He also designed the Empress Hotel over there, which I see is kind of minus its famous vine work that used to coat the front of it. And off to our left is the Inner Harbor, Victoria's famous Inner Harbor. And we're busy waiting for the motor vessel, the Coho, to come in from Port Angeles, Washington in about an hour or two. Anyway, there's the infamous government buildings. Victoria is a pretty little place, pretty city, very Victorian, colonial, you might say. But nevertheless, it is pretty. Now, there's a tree, folks. I don't know how old this tree is. I'm not even sure what it is. But look at that. Isn't that amazing? I bet you if we were to look around here, we'd find a placard or something that would tell us about this tree. Well, look at that. Here is a placard. It's 100 and some feet tall, 100 feet tall. It was planted in the late 1800s. Commonly referred to as a redwood. Grows about a foot a year. It's the official provincial Christmas tree. It gets decorated every Christmas. Amazing. And here we're going into the what is this thing? The gallery, the BC Royal Museum. Fascinating place. I've been through here a few times over the years, and quite an amazing thing. A couple of years ago, the so-called forward-thinking left-wing people were going to lobby to shut it down, take all the colonial artifacts out that is the history of this province, remove most of it, and replace it with, well, other things. Thank God the people of the province and the city jumped up and down so hard that they canceled that plan. We now got to go into the gift shop. Well, the MV Coho has just pulled into the dock, and there comes in from Port Angeles, Washington, twice a day, then back from Victoria to Port Angeles and back again. This vessel has been in service since right around the late 50s, I believe it is, 57, 58, which is really amazing. It's a big boat. And I've been on this boat a number of times over the many years. It docks right in the Inner Harbor of Victoria, BC. Right across from the government buildings, basically. But I've been on this boat when it was pitching so bad out in the Strait of Juan de Fuca that you couldn't even stand on the deck. Anyway, we'll talk about this a little further after. And on our way to Reno, so we're about 5-6 hours out of Reno right now. Anyway, it's pretty hard to see from here, but there is snow all around us. In fact, look at this, there's snow right here. People think of California. Well, this is actually normal for this area this time of year, snow. They just haven't been getting it in recent years, but they did this year. So anyway, it's going to be kind of a scenic drive up over the Sierras. We used to do this years ago when we were back and forth. We used to drive down here about once a year, it seems, or sometimes twice a year. But we haven't done this for a while. Anyway, pretty little town, Mount Shasta. So that's about it for right now. So anyway, here we're just leaving Mount Shasta, and you can sort of see the snow. And you think of the first part of April it would be all gone. Well, not really. But you got to remember, up in the Sierras, they depend on a lot of snow up there, and they'll get anywhere from 10 to 20 feet regular. So it's a big snow area, and that's how they keep all their reservoirs filled and their rivers flowing and gardens growing and the crops growing. Okay, this is Carson City. We are now entering Carson City, the capital of Nevada. And this is where Deanna's, most of her family lives here in the area. And we're on our way to Deanna's sister Mary's place, which is in Carson City. It's a pretty little town, probably about 100,000 people. The state legislature is here. And if any of you movie buffs, the movie The Shootist, which was John Wayne's last movie before he died, it was shot here in Carson City. And let's see, what else? This is kind of the gateway going up from here to Lake Tahoe. And the Virginia City from the old Bonanza days is off to our left over there, up in the mountains. Hopefully we'll get a chance to go up there and see it. It's kind of a U.S. version of Barkerville, except more commercial. But it's still an interesting site. It's got a lot of interesting historical artifacts and things to see around there. Off to our left is the Nugget Casino, probably the biggest one in Carson, and it's been here forever. And here is, there's a number of little casinos in this area. It just seems to be the spot where they put them. This is kind of the old part of Carson right through here. Well, kind of walking around here down near the Nevada State Legislature area, and it's really quite nice in the summer and fall. You got all the leaves on the trees, but it gives you an idea of some of the architecture. Now this building here, I'm not even sure what this is, but you gotta love that stonework. In fact, let's take a walk up here and take a little closer look. I mean, this is, I don't know, folks, this is pretty impressive, I think. Now we're going to walk around to the front and see what it is we're looking at here, because I'm not really sure. Wow. I think this could be I think this is the Capitol building. Anyway, what an impressive looking structure, and all the grounds around it. This is kind of the old part of Carson. It was established in the 1860s. The what do we got here? We have a thing here, the Nevada. It's a time capsule. 1864 to 2014. Oh, that's interesting. Does that mean that somebody's already opened this? This time capsule to remain sealed until Nevada Day, October 31st, 2064. I see. Well, here we are at Casino Fandango, and we're gonna go and have some brunch. Kind of a windy day, so there might be some wind noise on this audio here, but anyway, but this whole area, the last time I was here, the casino was here, I remember that, and maybe the hotel over there, but that was about it. Now it is surrounded by everything. My goodness. But anyway, I can't show you what the casino looks like. They don't like it when you walk in there with a camera in your hand. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for watching this episode of Woogie's Corner and our little trip from the north to the south. And hopefully we'll have more of these coming, because we're off to Houston on Saturday, and then from there we're going to Florida. So stay posted, stay tuned, and